Welcome to the Word Speaks channel. This is the Word Woman, Johanna Queenie. This week we are talking about something very important, and it's change. We hear all the time, there is nothing that is permanent in life. But there is something I will tell you that is permanent in life, and that is change. Change is a part of life. Change is modification. Change is renovation. Change is revolution. Change is transition. Change is transformation. And change is modification. Change is remodeling. Change is substitution. And change is resurrection. Change is life. So, just talking to you about what change is and what's going on in the world today, what changes have you experienced and how can you define change?
Changes I have experienced, I think the convenient part of change is experiencing not things not as convenient as it was. So my definition of change will probably be, if you could take away the convenience and everybody got to do things for themselves, like things was in the old days. I think we more the independent than dependent on things. So I think that's the definition of change as of right now. So that's what I like about it. I kind of like the COVID-19 situation. I kind of for it because it's the inconvenience of the inconvenience of being convenient. Everybody being lazy. Now everybody got to kind of do things on their own.
Awesome, I like that.
Right.
The inconvenience of being convenient.
Right.
So that is change is part of life.
Yes, ma'am.
So innovation, renovation, everything, modification,
Yep.
you have to do some adjustment. That has changed to you.
Right.
Thank you so much for sharing out.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you.
All right.
In the world, there is something I see personally that is permanent, and that's change. What do you think about the change today around the world?
I really don't like it. Everything is closed up. It's inconvenience. I feel trapped in my house. It's terrible.
So right now there is change everywhere. How are you handling this change?
I'm adjusting. In fact, I'm not surprised, but at the same time I am, because I think God is just saying, time for us to wake up.
It's time for us to wake up.
I think He loves us enough to do this.
Yes, I like that. He loves us enough to do that.
Yeah.
So looking at the changes.
It's my son.
Hi. Thank you. So can you tell us what you benefited from the change around? What's the benefit of this change?
What's the benefits? Spending time with yourself.
And your family?
Yeah.
And those who you will love.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
it.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
good. Do you see God in this change?
Oh yeah, I'm seeing God in everything. We just gotta. I think it's time to just open up your eyes and just see what it really is. You look inside yourself.
Right.
See the missing parts,
I like that.
broken parts, fix them.
Right.
Got
Fix
time
them
to do it,
before
man.
it's too late. Ooh, 0 point.
And my son,
You
when
got
I
time to
did,
do
I
it.
made this mask today. I made this from fashion. But my son told me, it's not an S on Psalm. So I said, I'm going to have to put 23 on here then. To make it legit.
Right.
I
So
appreciate it.
Psalm 91 and Psalm 23.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Lord is your shepherd, and you shall not want. You have all the protection,
Yes.
all the safety, and all that you ever need in life.
Yes,
You got it. In life, expect change. Never expect anything to remain the same, knowing that you have a God that will not allow anything you cannot handle come your way. Change is a part of life. Change can make you or it can break you. Life is not as bad as you think. It all depends on your interpretation, and your maturity will be determined by how you handle the change that comes your way. Everything is going back and forth, left and right, center this season. How are you handling the change going on right now? There are alterations, there are renovations, there are remodelings, there are modifications, but how you handle it determines how the best that God has put in you will come out. Abraham was a man that expected so much from God, waited for almost 25 years to receive a blessing, a promise. And when the promise came, 10 years into the promise, God asked him to create a change. What was that change? To go ahead and sacrifice that son. What did he do? A man of faith. He did not ask questions. He knew that was God talking to him. He took the bold step of faith and went ahead with the son to the mountain where he was supposed to be sacrificed. But when he got there, God honored his faith. Another change took place. There was a ram in the tickets ready to be sacrificed and not his son. His faith was tried. His faith was tested. How he handled the change, how he handled that circumstance, built his future and gave him a generational blessing. And in blessing, he was blessed. And anyone that cursed him will be cursed. Why? Because he handled change with maturity. When Mary Magdalene in John chapter 20 went to the tomb to try and bless the body of Jesus with some spices, there was a change. He was no longer there. She ran back to Simon Peter and the other disciples to tell them about the change that had occurred. Some of them doubted. Some of them wanted to see before they believe. One of them majorly was Thomas. He did not believe. And when later in the day, they were in a room, all locked up, trying to figure out what was going on, the very present help in time of trouble, confusion, stepped in the midst of closed doors and showed himself, proved himself that he was still God over any situation. I'm encouraging you this week, in the midst of the change, stay strong. Life is not as bad as you see. It's only how you handle and interpret the change in life that determines what your destiny will look like. In the midst of this crisis, be creative. Let the best that God has put in you come out. And the Lord God will be glorified in your life. Enjoy the blessings that come with the resurrection of Christ. Happy New Week. Shalom.